Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Retro Warriors episode 372. Woo! As always, I'm your host, Justin Baker, and as always, I'm joined by resident old bastard, Chris Saturn.
I feel like I may have half-assed that woo a little bit.
Do you want to? Yep.
I just want to apologize to the audience.
No, don't say anything. Pablo, can you edit in a better woo?
Yeah, right.
Like, put in like a Ric Flair woo. One of those. Put that in there. And
370 plus episodes, I was bound to not bring my full woo game.
We've got the full Ric Flair audio library. We pay for that monthly.
If you can't find that, try to find some good woo girls from the internet. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Sure, you can get some good woos.
As far as housekeeping, my coffee's wearing off, and I'm tired.
We could tell.
And I want to sleep, and I'm sweaty.
Got the post-coffee sweats.
Yeah. Is
that a thing?
Yeah, you don't get sweaty when you drink coffee?
No.
Oh, it makes me sweaty.
I always drink coffee in the morning, and I don't particularly get sweaty in the morning.
Well, it's fine in the morning. I don't get sweaty in the morning, but if it's like later on in the afternoon, I drink a cup of coffee, I get real sweaty.
Weird. I don't have that, no.
Yeah. My week. I played a weird golf car game thing with some friends.
Like a live action thing.
Yeah, no, it's a video game.
Okay,
it's, you know Rocket League?
Okay, yeah.
It's what if Rocket League were golf instead of soccer?
Okay.
So
right. I'm on board.
I forget what it's called. Just Google. Just go to Google.
Go to DuckDuckGo.
Just type car golf Xbox game like Rocket League. And
is it Turbo Golf Racing?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So you start guys playing it apparently right now. He messaged us. You start playing and everyone is separate. You've all got your own ball and you're just driving down these long courses trying to hit it with your car all the way down this course into the hole.
Okay.
And you can't collide with each other's cars or balls at all, but you can occasionally pick up little rockets and stuff and shoot them in each other's cars.
I try not to collide with other people's balls.
Thankfully, it's impossible in this game. They've removed all ball collision.
That's good.
So no, it's on the box.
Can you collide with your own ball?
You can collide with your own ball.
Well, that's
so
good.
You need to be careful.
Partial ball collision.
You need to be careful of your ball.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's just like basically racing to see who can get it in the goal first. Mm-hmm. And it was a pretty fun time. Not quite. It was much more relaxed than Rocket League.
Yeah.
Just kind of more chill and very much ripping off like as much Rocket League as they possibly can.
That makes sense.
Like if I didn't know that it wasn't Epic doing it, I would have been like, is this like some new like Epic thing that they're doing? They're doing like a spin-off game.
Right.
To the point that I'm kind of wondering if they're going to get a cease and desist. Like it's real close.
Nice.
Although thankfully I don't think you can copyright or patent gameplay mechanics at all.
They managed to patent the one mechanic in those
from the Shadow of Mordor game,
games,
right? Yeah. Suspicious. Anyway, other than that, I've been painting the miniatures, the little things. I painted all the small things in my house,
like your dog.
Painted my dog, my kid. Anything shorter than me is painted.
Yeah, painted your NES Classic.
I've run out. I kept buying BattleTech minis, and now I'm out of them. I can't paint anymore because the container. I put them all in. I bought like a cake pan, and it's got a lid with a big handle on it. And I magnetize all my minis. I glue neodymium magnets to the bottom of them, and so they all stick in there. And now it is full. So I guess I can't buy any more BattleTech minis unless I buy a bigger cake pan.
For people who haven't been listening to the show for a while, if this is for some reason one of the first episodes you're listening to, Justin goes through these arcs where he gets really obsessed with a thing, talks about it for a few weeks, then mentions that he's running out of room for that thing he's obsessed with, still talks about it for another week or two, and then seamlessly moves on to another thing, and you never hear about that last thing for 2-3 years.
I was going to say I circle back to him.
Eventually.
I come back. I find that I get a lot of pleasure in setting up future hobbies that I might want to do.
Right.
You know, so I'm like, all right, I'm going to get into this thing. I'm going to buy everything for it. I'm going to collect it all. I'm going to set it all up. I'm going to paint it. I'm going to read it. I'm going to learn it. Everything I got to do. And then I go, all right, now whenever I get a chance to do that, I'll be ready.
Right.
And then it goes on the shelf.
And now you've made a retro gaming cart. You're ready.
I'm ready for whenever I need to retro game. And then it never happens, and I just play it on my PC.
And then you sell your CRT. And
yes. Well, I traded that CRT for some Game Boy games.
Right.
I feel like I got a good deal. I got a pile of Game Boy games.
Well, I mean, your other CRT, your bigger giant one.
Oh, that one was just too big. That thing was a 36-inch Trinitron.
But you did make a cart for it.
I did make a cart for it, yeah, and I put all my retro game consoles on it, and I was doing the original hardware thing, and it just did not...
It's a lot of space.
It's always better in your memory, isn't it?
Yep.
You know?
It really is.
Mostly just been doing like tabletop hobby related stuff, painting BattleTech miniatures and fantasy, basically catching up on painting. Because I
like how 2 episodes ago you were like, well, I'm done painting. And now this episode you're like, I'm still catching up on painting.
Well, I think I'm pretty well caught up now because I buy a lot of tabletop stuff, D&D miniatures, fantasy miniatures, games of various ilks. And I don't love painting. I just love having them painted.
Yeah.
So I'll go through these moods where I'll be real into painting for a while, and then I'll get bored of it. So when I'm real into it, I try to give into it as much as I can because I'll get all my shit painted that I've been accruing.
Yeah.
And then I won't want to do it for like a year. So right now I'm in the...
Getting it out of the way while you're still in the mood.
I'm in the mood, and I can feel the mood...
waning,
seeping away, but thankfully I've got all my BattleTech stuff painted. And I'm ready to play the game.
Yeah, I was talking to my father the other day, and he's in his 70s, and I was asking him, I was like, all of my childhood, I don't really remember you having hobbies, and he was like, well, I gave those up for having kids and being able to drink a lot while having kids. And I was like, well, now that I think about it, there was that time when I was really little when you were making little model cars and stuff. And he said, oh, no, that was just so that I could sniff the glue. I was like, oh, okay.
Your dad was huffing airplane glue?
He may have been huffing air. Look, it was the 80s. It was a different time. So I just wanted to say, if you're looking for hobbies, don't huff airplane glue, is what I'm telling you. It's not
hey, what are you into this week? Really into huffing airplane glue. That's kind of what I'm into right now. I'm sorry, what? Yeah. No, I buy the model kits so they don't get suspicious, and then I just huff the glue.
Yeah. So, that's if you're looking for dad hobbies, don't do that one.
I never really understood that I gave up my hobby to have kids. My kid paints with me.
Yeah.
Like she was up, when we go to the store, she'll buy a couple miniatures and then come home and then they sell these things now called speed paints. So normally when you paint a thing, you got to put down a base layer and then you go in and you like highlight it, pick out all the details, and then you go in again and it's this layering process. You've seen Bob Ross, you know how it works.
Yeah.
But now these ones, it's like all of it in one, and you just slap the shit on there one time and you're like, it looks fine. And so she's just speed painting everything. And so I never really got the whole giving up all your hobbies for your kids.
My dad just never really had hobbies when I was growing up. Like my mom would read a lot. That was her only real hobby, was reading and video games. But he never really did much of anything.
I guess when you're high on airplane glue, you
right. When you're high enough, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Just listen to Cheech and Chong. I finished Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yes. Oh my! That game you didn't like.
So here's the thing. There's still some things I don't like about it.
I feel like every other episode you like it, and the episodes in between you don't like it, and you just make up your mind.
It's kind of both. So here's the thing. The backstory and the lore, I loved that. That was fantastic. The presentation was really good. The platforming was excellent. The combat was fine since I put it on easy. But I think if I had put it on anything other than easy, it would have been really frustrating because it was just constant combat. And I really just wish games would get rid of all the enemies and just let me platform and explore. That's all I really want in a game.
Right.
It's just platforming, exploration, and puzzle solving, and take all the wolves out of my game. There were a lot of robots, robot dinosaurs and robot horses and stuff, and that was fun. It does have one of those things that bugs me about all modern games where it wants to be cinematic in the most basic dumb bullshit.
Yeah, so like some guys are like, I lost my sheep.
Well, not just that. I'm talking about like the actual gameplay part. Like when you're doing the platforming and you're jumping between ledges and there's one jump that's like slightly further than the others. The actual gameplay mechanics is you hold forward and hit jump just like every other fucking jump. But then it like slow-mo zooms in on it for a second. It's like, oh, is she going to miss? Nah, she didn't miss.
Now, you played and enjoyed all the Tomb Raider reboots. Did they not
also did that.
A lot of this same stuff?
Yes. And that's what I kept thinking about as I was going through this, was it has a lot of the same gameplay mechanics as the Tomb Raider games, mixed with the worst storytelling. Just really bad storytelling. Like, and the worst part is some of the voice acting is excellent.
Yeah.
But the storytelling is not. And some of the writing is not. And it does that one thing that really bugs me about a lot of fantasy stories is where they will everybody speaks English, but then they make up their own profanities that are not like English profanities. And everybody commits to it.
I love that this bothers you.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much.
Because I've always thought it was the stupidest thing ever, too. But I never voiced that opinion because I was like, what a dumb thing to be annoyed about. And you're the only other person in my life that's like, I fucking hate it when they speak English, but they make up their own profanities.
Oh, I hate it. Because like I got to the town that is the not dwarf people. They're not dwarfs. They're full-sized people. Of course. But they have every mannerism of dwarves.
Okay.
Like they drink, they tinker. They're all wearing too much armor.
They have tiny,
all carry hammers.
round red hats.
No.
And they hang out with Snow White.
Right. No, not that kind of dwarf. I'm talking more like the Tolkien style dwarves.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they are the clear dwarf XBs, but they are all like full size humans. Mm-hmm. And whenever something irritates them, they go, "Oh, fire and spit." And I'm like, that's the stupidest shit.
Well, at least those are words.
Yeah, that is true. I'll give them that.
Because there's a lot of them where they make up, it's a fake word they've invented.
Oh, grommet. And I'm like, that's already a word, first of all.
Because fire and spit is dumb, but I could see how that could become some sort of idiom.
Yeah.
But when they just invent a word,
it
drives me crazy. What show? I was, God, there's some show that did that, and I really loved the show. I think Firefly did that. I was like, this is a great fucking show. But then they had these dumb fake swear words.
I hate that. But no, otherwise, the game itself is fine. The thing that bugged me is it tries to build up the mystery about the backstory because without any spoilers, the backstory is that the society collapsed due to an apocalypse and then was rebuilt after the apocalypse, and now there's robot dinosaurs. And like early on, you find out a little bit of the backstory. That something happened and caused society to collapse, and then midway through it gives you a few more details that make it pretty clear what probably happened, but then it still acts like it's a big mystery when they reveal exactly what happened, and it's the thing that was heavily hinted earlier. And I was like, well, I thought there was going to be like a big reveal, and like I guess it's a reveal to the characters in the game because they don't know what computers or robots are. But to me, the player, this has been obvious for a while. Why are you drawing this out? So it was just kind of weird.
Well, I think the thing, I've not played the game. I still am kind of interested, but
it's a good game.
I was really hoping for much more focus on fighting robo-dinos, and it seems like, because I wanted that portion of the game to be in the 85+% of my time.
I would say it probably is, and it's, fighting robot creatures.
Well, okay, no, see, that's not what I want. I could fight robot creatures all over the place. I could go downstairs and like fucking kick a Furby if I wanted to.
Right.
I want to fight full-size robotic dinosaurs.
So there are some areas that just endlessly spawn robot T-Rexes if you just want to fight it over and over again. There's robot raptors fucking everywhere. You're gonna like trip over those. But they're also the easiest enemy to fight.
I mean, like a big ankylosaurus. I want to fight one of those.
There's not any of those, no. The only robot dinosaurs are the T-Rex and the raptor. The rest of them are just robot animals.
I think what it is you remember in the long ago, caveman stuff was like in vogue for a few years.
Yeah.
Inexplicably and for no reason.
Right. Like Turok.
I want like a modern, like Breath of the Wild, except it's like caveman shit and dinosaurs and like how does that not exist? Like Stone Age stuff.
Yeah.
Why the fuck does that not? Give me that. Give me the Stone Age stuff.
So this one, I almost thought it was going to go kind of that route at the beginning because the first group of characters you meet feel like they're somewhere between Stone Age and like the less modernized Native American tribes, at least the stereotypical view of them anyway.
Yeah.
And it felt like it was somewhere in that level of civilization, right?
Yeah.
And all the characters are like, oh, you don't leave this area. It's forbidden. The elders will punish you and the gods will punish you and all this shit. And then as soon as you leave that area, like the next town is like Roman Empire level civilization. And I'm like, oh, so it's just my friends are all backwater hicks. That's where the problem is.
I'm already living that life.
Right. And then you encounter the dwarven like people and they're like, oh, we have shotguns. I'm like, oh, okay. So there are some leaps in technology there. Plus, of course, there's robots everywhere.
Why are there not more? There needs to be more Stone Age games. There's no like modern system Stone Age. Like that'd be so cool. You could have dinos. And you'd be like you have your little caveman.
Like Chuck Rock.
Little furry caveman outfit on. You could like upgrade your club. Man, I'd play the shit out of that. Also, very few games set in like Mesoamerica. There's like none of those.
I want more of those. The third Tomb Raider reboot was in Mesoamerica, and that was really neat.
Oh man. Let's do the news.
Okay.
First up, sexual harassment accusations aimed at Nintendo from former testers. I read some of these accusations. They suck and are shitty and gross.
And it also felt like the contract agency they worked for was blatantly ignoring all of the accusations. And that's really frustrating.
And I've already kind of been getting rumblings of Nintendo fans like, well, these are just testers. This isn't Nintendo.
And also the contract agency that they work for is one that also contracts at my company. So I immediately started giving the manager from that group hell. So I was like, look at what your company did. And they're like, we already knew about it. We just don't know how to talk about it.
We already knew about it? Yeah, we knew about that. Yeah, we did that. Yeah.
Well, no, it was like their corporate management was like, this is a thing that is happening. You are not allowed to talk about this publicly because of legal something. Yeah.
Sexual harassment in the games industry. I'm just fucking shocked. I can't believe that we've sunk so low. So low. Diablo 4 leak, speaking of sinking low. Diablo 4 leak shows lots of microtransactions.
Gasp.
Fuck. I already wasn't going to buy Diablo 4 because...
Right.
Fuck you, Blizzard.
Blizzard, yeah.
Fuck you.
But it'll be Microsoft by then.
Well, good. It'll be day one Game Pass, and I got to buy shit, and then I can play it and go, why is all these microtransactions in here? Although, the thing is, Microsoft is pretty big into the fucking microtransactions, man. Like they have been a forerunner in that arena for years since the beginning.
Yeah.
And I feel like they get a lot of slack because Microsoft games, if you've got Game Pass, you ain't paying for them.
Right.
So people are a little,
well, you're still paying for them, just not directly.
Right. No, you just pay for Netflix and you get all these movies for free, Saturn.
Yeah, right.
And because you're not walking out there paying a $70 price tag up front, it's easier to process. And I agree. Because I engage in that business model with them.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I won't convince myself to buy any microtransactions in a game that I haven't already purchased. That's a rule for me.
I've bought some stuff in some Game Pass games, like first party Microsoft stuff that I know isn't going to go anywhere, Forza. Well, I've got the expansion packs for Forza 4 and Forza 5.
Some of the Forza games have left Game Pass as they've lost their licensing for them. So
true.
If you don't own those games, that stuff might go away.
So like Forza 4 and 5, I bought the expansion packs, but I've never bought the base game because, well, I don't need to buy the base game because
not yet.
I've got a Game Pass. Yeah, if it's ever delisted, then I would need to go out and buy the fucking base game.
Right.
Yeah. Sucks and
Yep.
totally expected.
Yeah. The theme of the news so far has been things we should have expected.
Yes. TGS coming back as a hybrid event. Capcom, Square Enix, Bandai Namco, Sega, and Kojima Productions confirmed.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I like the big trade showy events. I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of a big news dump of upcoming titles, and those are all companies that I like at least some of their games. So I'm down.
I like complaining.
I've noticed.
So I do like the big trade shows because there's always something to complain about. You can always get something out. And if nothing happens, then Ubisoft comes out and shows their ass, and you just get to laugh at that.
I'm just
Or Sony comes out and holds journalists hostage to make them watch a 10-minute flute show.
Oh, that was so awkward.
Oh, my God.
I'm just happy that there's going to be another trade showy event that Jeff Keighley isn't at. That's exciting to me.
Yes, please less of him. I'm
Yes.
sure he's a very nice man.
Like John Romero.
Like John
He's probably
Romero.
a very nice man.
I just don't want to see
Just
him.
tired of hearing about him.
I'm done with you, Jeff Keighley.
Yes. Please take a nap.
Embracer Group, formerly THQ Nordic, announces Embracer Free Mode, a new division of the company that will act as a parent to several new acquisitions, including Limited Run Games and Middle-earth Enterprises. These are big gets.
Yes. The entire IP rights to The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit is a pretty big get.
Yeah.
Especially right on the eve of Amazon launching that Lord of the Rings show. So that's just free money for Embracer Group.
There's the new Gollum game coming out, which they're still making for some reason.
Right.
That was one of those games that the second they announced it, I was like, that's going to get shit canned, dude. There's no fucking way. Who asked for this?
Right.
And then Limited Run Games is like, I mean, I know that money-wise, they're probably the smallest of their acquisitions.
Right.
But as far as like clout in the gaming hobby, they're kind of the small time publisher du jour of physical goods.
Yeah, the company that everybody loves to hate.
Yeah, I definitely do love to hate them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I know we've continued to be not critical but wary of Embracer Group. Yeah. They seem to be doing well, but they also seem to be building their enterprise right now. And when you're in the building phase, everything's sunshine and rainbows and everything's great.
Yeah, because they also bought what was it, Asmodee?
Yeah,
who owns all those different tabletop publishers. They bought Dark Horse Comics.
Yeah, Jesus,
they bought Crystal Dynamics and Eidos off of Square Enix.
Yep. Asmodee is really like I think they're the like third biggest tabletop game publisher in the world. Yeah. Like after like Hasbro and
after
like,
Hasbro and a second Hasbro.
Yeah, Hasbro 1 and Hasbro 2. And they're doing good right now, but they're also gobbling up companies real fast.
I'm waiting for them to acquire somebody in the film industry. I feel like that'll be their next big step, and then after that, maybe I don't know, a news organization. I'm not sure where the next step is from there.
What frustrates me is I'm rooting for them because it's not Tencent.
But they're also partially owned by the Saudi Arabian government.
Yeah, fuck. You can't win.
Nope, you really can't.
Fuck off, corpos. Oh my God. Sunsoft hosted a digital event on August 18th.
It was so awkward and charming.
This was the weirdest fucking event. They come out, and it's a guy in a VTuber avatar.
Yeah.
Who I couldn't understand. He just didn't speak good English.
Right. Fortunately, it was subtitled.
I didn't turn him on.
Oh. Yeah, they had excellent subtitles. That's so if you do watch it, you can read along with what he's saying to be able to interpret him, because he does have a very thick Japanese accent.
Well, the accent wasn't even as much the problem as much as he kept delivering things with weird emotions.
True. He did enunciate things odd.
That didn't fit the stuff he was saying. Like, he'd be real excited, but all he was saying was something that was not exciting, and it just kept throwing me.
Yeah.
But they did announce Mr. Gimmick being ported to the PS4, Switch, Xbox One, PC, and as he said, and all the other stuff that's out there.
No, he said the PS4, the Switch, the PC, and all the other multi-platforms. And on the screen, it clearly said, and Xbox One.
Yeah. It's going to be digital. It's going to get a physical by Bitwave Games, which is Division.
Well, the digital is also being done by Bitwave.
Oh, is it? Mm-hmm. Well, in other words, Embracer free mode.
Yes,
because
which is
there you are.
And they had mentioned that there will be a physical by Clear River Games, which is a division of Embracer Free Mode. But the Clear River Games only publishes games in Europe, and usually Limited Run publishes Clear River's games in America, which is fine because now they are also a part of Embracer Free Mode. So it's all just one big incestuous family.
Yay. Iki Unite, which appears to be a cross between Kusoge Famicom game Iki and Vampire Survivors, which will support 16 players.
Yeah, it looks really weird, but I kind of want it just because it's a rebirth of a shitty game. And
just
I feel
the idea
gotta
of
give them credit for that.
Multiplayer Vampire Survivors is exciting enough for me,
right?
that yes. Euphoria, the saga, is being ported to modern consoles next year.
Yeah.
And so, cool.
Yeah, good job, Sunsoft, coming back. It's weird, but all right.
It was the weirdest. If you didn't, the presentation is like 8 minutes long. Go watch it. It's so awkward and weird.
Yeah. Right.
It's just weird. Sega releases finalized list of games for the Western Genesis 2 Mini. Includes ports of Fantasy Zone, Space Harrier 1 and 2, Spatter, Super Locomotive, Versus Puyo Puyo, Sun, Devi, and P.
And those are all new ports that have never been on Genesis before.
Yes. Which is very, very exciting. We're getting like enhanced versions of Hellfire, Outrun, Phantasy Star 2, and Truxton.
Which is neat.
Now, I didn't see these. Do we know what the enhancements are?
They didn't mention on most of them. They just said there was going to be some form of enhancement. They didn't specify the exact details on any of them yet.
Because I'm very excited at the idea of what they could be enhancing.
On Truxton, they did mention that it would be... the music would run at correct arcade speed or something like that. So I wouldn't expect anything amazing on it.
So this sounds more like little fixes.
Right.
More so than actual enhancements.
Yeah. I'm a little disappointed, though, because several of the Sega CD games that are on the Japanese unit that received localizations here in the first place are not on this one. And that's disappointing to me because those are some of the best games on the Sega CD and they are being left behind. So I'm hoping that it will be as easily moddable as the first model and that it has enough storage to put a few Sega CD games on it.
I assume hardware-wise, I mean, it's going to be the same, I would assume.
I hope it's similar enough. I imagine it'll just have more storage. Because
I don't know why they don't all do it like the Turbo Mini where you can just change regions to your different game lists.
Right.
It still breaks my heart how great the Turbo Mini was.
Well, granted, the Turbo Mini still had games that were on the PC Engine that weren't on the Western release.
Oh yeah, that's true. There was a couple
only
of
like 2 or 3 games.
Yeah. I forgot about that. But still, even then, the Turbo Mini, best mini console.
Yep.
Totally unsupported, unavailable, impossible to find, not for sale anywhere.
Yeah. It had a pretty decent run of a few months there.
That's true.
Which is more than I expected from Konami.
And that brings us to our topic at hand. This week we're talking NES shmups.
Yes.
Because we like to talk about shmups.
And we like to talk about the NES.
I remember in the planning episode for this month, we were like, we just want to talk about Abadox a lot. So we'll do Natsume and then we'll do Abadox. In the same month.
Yeah.
And then I didn't play Abadox.
Perfect.
I mean, I've played it. I've played it before, but I didn't play it for the show. So, as far as synopsis, this is really just a smattering of NES shmups. I feel like I got most of the heavy hitters.
Right.
But I inevitably missed someone's favorite NES shmup, and for that, I apologize.
Yeah.
As far as first encounters, I played lots of Abadox, Life Force, Guardian Legend, and later on Gradius. And the NES was very much like my premier shmup system until I was a full-grown adult. The Super Nintendo had a few, but I didn't have them until later. I was buying them as retro games after the fact. The N64 was a barren wasteland.
Oh, yeah.
As far as shmups. And it really kind of wasn't until like Ikaruga on GameCube that I felt like, hey, here's another shmup that is good like those NES shmups that I enjoy.
Completely ignoring all of the NEC, Sega, Sony, all those platforms.
Yes. And I do kind of want to talk about two things. First, as far as scope, we are focusing on NES shmups, which is to say shmups on the North American NES. Right. So everything I'm listing are regions, release dates, names, and publishers for the NES versions in North America of these games. Because some of these games have different names in different regions. So if you want all that data, then go to Wikipedia.
Go look it up.
You got it. You just get North American stuff. So sorry Europe, sorry Japan. It's North American.
There's some Japanese names here.
I do want to talk about the NES's reputation as a shmup system.
Yeah. Because
I don't feel like it is regarded as a system that people would seek out for its shmups.
Correct.
And it always was that for me.
That's so weird.
It was the...
But I think it's just because you didn't have those others.
I didn't have the other ones. No. I had an NES, then we had a Super NES.
And there's some good shmups on the Super NES.
True, but we didn't have any of them. I think, I want to say we got Gradius 3 at some point.
I got Gradius 3 and Super R-Type and D-Force and R-Type 3, all fairly early in the system's life. Well, R-Type 3 was later, but the other three were all fairly early in the system's life.
We got Gradius 3. It was later, after GameCube later.
Oh, wow.
And that was it. And then N64, I mean, dude, you got that one weird Galaga game.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, it was the weird Space Invaders game.
Yeah.
The weird, shitty N64 Space Invaders.
I didn't play any shmups on the N64 that I can think of.
I mean, I'm trying to think, surely there were some. And we didn't have a Genesis till we were older. Was
there a Star Soldier on 64?
Oh my God, I have no idea.
I feel like they released one and I never played it because it was on 64.
I mean, there's got to be... Someone has inevitably written an article. Hold on. N64. Is there anything on the N64?
Star Soldier Vanishing Earth on the N64. Yeah, I never got around to playing it.
There you go. Robotron. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have Robotron.
Someone
64.
said Star Fox 64. That's wrong.
That's not a shmup, no.
Yeah, that's an on-rails shooter. But you tried. You tried, Internet.
You were almost there.
Certainly there are systems with better shmup libraries. The PC Engine, the Sega Saturn, the PlayStation Genesis. 1 had some great ones. It's not the most expansive or robust lineup, and that's kind of why I like talking about it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there are a few games here, a precious few here, that you can't find anywhere else.
Right.
And I feel like they're games that are worth playing, that are very good and very fun, and I want to talk about them. So, yeah.
And also, we haven't talked about Guardian Legend in almost an episode.
I know. Well, we talked about last episode.
That's what I was saying. Almost an episode.
Almost. So let's talk about the games. I believe all the games in this first section are only on the NES. I don't believe any of them received ports.
Okay.
I believe. And first up is Abadox. This was developed by Natsume. This was published in America by Milton Bradley. And it's got a big Milton Bradley logo on the box.
It was a weird era. Milton Bradley and Parker still weren't sure if they wanted to get into the video game industry or not.
Well, Milton Bradley was like, it's a game. We do games.
Yep.
And then they're like, hey, let's get one of those games like that one with that plumber. What's this game? Abadox. It's got blood and gore all over the front of it. I know, you're in an intestinal tract. Yeah, let's do that. This fits the Milton
subtitle
Bradley.
of it was The Deadly Inner War. That's very Milton Bradley.
The Deadly Inner War sounds like a shitty late 80s sci-fi board game that looks really cool, and then you play it and you're like, it's just shitty Monopoly. Abadox is bizarre. I played a lot of it just because it was one of the only 3 shmups I had access to. So growing up, we had Guardian Legend, we had Abadox, and my grandma owned Life Force. Because they had an NES at her house, so when kids came over, you could play her NES games, which were Life Force, Metal Gear, Bubble Bobble.
That's a weird selection for Grandma.
I'm trying to think of what else. I think that was it. I think it was Life Force, Metal Gear, and Bubble Bobble.
My grandma's games were Frogger, Cubert, Donkey Kong, and Wheel of Fortune. That was what you got to play at her house.
My grandma didn't even know what the fuck they were. She didn't know what the fucking Nintendo was. You know,
she's just like, I need to buy some games for the grandkids. Let's see, Metal Gear.
Yeah. Well, do you have one that's similar to Abadox: The Deadly Inner War? Oh, yes, we have Life Force. You're inside of a giant monster. Oh, yes, that's similar enough. Do you have Monster Party?
Do you have any games where a grizzled old veteran smokes a lot?
And then cute dinosaurs shooting bubbles, please. Yes, thank you. Goodbye.
Perfect. Goodbye, salesman.
That was fucking weird. So those the three shmups I had access to as a kid were Guardian Legend, Life Force, and Abadox. And we played a lot of Abadox because it's gross and it's weird.
I'll give you that.
It's disgusting.
So between Life Force and Abadox, you're like, so shmups are mostly games that are intestinal.
Yeah, you're mostly inside of things. Even Guardian Legend, they really kind of anthropomorphize the planet you're inside of. It's very much a living thing. So
later on you play these other ones and you're like, why are all these shmups in space now?
What a weird common thread between all of the shmups I had as a kid. You're inside of a thing.
That's weird.
Interesting. Anyway, Abadox is fucking gross. It's a gross game. It's a very fun game. It's a very difficult game.
Yeah, it's a game that I didn't gain any appreciation for until much, much, much later, because I'd rented it back in the day, and I was like, this is weird. This is Milton Bradley. This is gonna be dumb. And then I played it, and I was like, well, this is weird and gross instead of dumb. And I didn't bother to rent it again. Mm-hmm. And then years and years later, when I pulled it up on an emulator, I gave it another chance and appreciated it a little more than the first time. But it's still, it was never one of my favorites.
Yeah. We played it a lot in my house. I love that later on in the game, it switches to a vertical, orientation, which was very exciting at the time. Also, I guess Life Force doesn't, but 2 out of the 3 shmups I had changed the gameplay orientation.
Life Force changes from side scroller to vertical, doesn't it?
Does it?
I know it does on every other platform. I can't remember if the NES version did.
It probably does. That's the one of the 3 I played the least because it was at my grandma's house. So yeah, another weird common thread between all of the shmups I had as a kid. Abadox is really fun. It's a little simplistic. It's not the most, robust shmup in the world, but it's got, you got little power-ups you can pick up, little speed boosters and homing missiles and stuff. There's like a 3-way gun and a laser, and it's a good time. I like it. I would say that it is better than Gradius on the NES.
Yeah, it's not saying much.
It's okay, but it's saying something. Burai Fighter, Burai Fighter.
Yeah, this is the game on this list that I've played the least.
Yeah, same. I played very little of this. And it almost, you play a dude with a gun and you shoot things. And I know that you can move in multiple directions and change directions. So it's almost kind of on the ledge of like, is this really a shmup or is it more like something else? But
I would also add King's Knight into that same category of is this a shmup on NES?
Is it or isn't it? Burai Fighter is famous to me because of the cover art. I've seen the Game Boy cover art for this game a million billion times, and I don't fucking know why. It's extremely iconic and memorable to me. I never owned the game. As far as I know, I've never played the game on Game Boy. So I don't know. But there it is. Burai Fighter. Summer Carnival 92 Rekka.
That's an important one, yeah.
Is an awesome game. They released it on Wii Virtual Console. It was Japan only. It was developed by Kid.
I don't think it was on Wii Virtual Console. I know it was on 3DS Virtual Console.
Was that though? I thought it was on Wii Virtual Console.
I don't think they ever released, at least not outside of Japan on Wii, that I remember.
Maybe. Maybe.
I know it's on 3DS Virtual Console because I was really excited because that was the first time it released over here was on 3DS. And so I definitely picked it up then.
Now, these are the whole Summer Carnival 92 thing. These are competition shooters.
Right.
SHMUPs for people that are maybe unaware of the idea behind these games. And there's I mean, like I own several. There's a few on TurboGrafx. Where they're these like smaller shmups that are really just meant to be kind of a speed run, I guess.
Yeah.
And presumably you would submit the scores places. I don't know where.
Right. I know there was some kind of competition, but Rekka is one of the most impressive looking games on NES, and also it runs incredibly well as far as a shmup on the NES. Like you had mentioned that the NES was one of your shmup systems, and it was always one of the ones that I had thought of as not the shmup system because of its performance and because of its flicker, because of the limited number of sprites per line. But Rekka seems to contradict all of that. It's just incredibly well made. You can have a ton of stuff going on the screen, way more than I thought the NES should be capable of.
It definitely does some weird NES magic. I don't know how it does it, but it's pretty fun. It's a little simplistic.
Yeah.
I think because it's a competition game. You know, it's about skill. It's not about tons of power ups and running around doing cool shit. It's how good are you at this?
Yeah. And Naxxitsoft, the company behind it, they had already done Summer Carnival stuff on the PC Engine the previous year, and then they like dropped back to Famicom in '92, which is kind of nice that they threw a bone to Famicom players, despite the fact they had kind of moved on to the slightly more powerful system already.
Yeah, I have a copy from PCE Works of Summer Carnival 91 Rekka.
Of Spriggan.
Or was it not also called Rekka?
No, it was Summer Carnival 91 Spriggan.
Oh. Well, whichever one is. Summer Carnival 91. I got that one.
Yeah.
Guardian Legend 1989 compile Broderbund IRIM in Japan, Nintendo in Europe.
We've talked about that one.
We've talked about this one a lot. I do want to say that as far as NES shmups, it is one of the more enjoyable, visually appealing, fun to play shmups in the system's library. And if you didn't catch it on the episode or I haven't repeated it enough times, you can put in a password and then play only shmup mode. You don't have to do any of the exploration at all. And
I don't
whenever
know why you would do that, but
it's its own kind of fun.
The shmup sections are still great, but man, why would you want to not play the other parts?
And they also give you because the game has so many different power-ups. There's like 30 different weapons in the game. Whenever you beat a boss, they give you a random weapon.
Right.
And so it still feeds you those power-ups, which is the funnest part of the game, is playing with all these different power-ups that you have and trying to find good use cases for each weird weapon.
I just like the exploration.
Well, you're wrong, Saturn. Okay. But yeah, as far as shmups on the NES, it's top-notch.
Oh yeah, very
and I think it doesn't get listed in with NES shmups very often because it's like, I mean, like you said, it's you spend more time exploring than you do playing the shmup stages.
Right.
But man, what a fun game.
Oh yeah.
You have Zombie Nation, which is 1991, developed by Kazi or Kaz. I don't know.
Kaze.
And published by Meldak, which sounds like a villain from the X-Men.
So, I first learned of Zombie Nation from Sean Baby. I'm not ashamed to admit to that. I'm sure you've read Sean Baby's article about it, right?
I don't think I have. No.
Importantly, he mentions that it's basically a shmup, but you control a big, stupid flying head.
Yeah, that's correct.
And he assumes that what happened was in the creative process, a graphic designer was writing some notes and he accidentally spelled spaceship as BIGFLOATINGHEAD. And man, I love Zombie Nation. It's just such a garbage game.
Zombie Nation is indeed the weird NES shmup where if you look at the box, it looks like a zombie game, and then you play it and you play a weird disembodied zombie head, sometimes Tengu mask.
And the thing is, the Japanese name of the game translates to Hooligan Tengu. Never does it mention zombies.
Also, the boss in the first round is Evil Statue of Liberty.
That's true, yes.
So
Look, sometimes...
This was the first game that Kaze made.
Uh-huh.
Right out of the fucking gate with Zombie Nation.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, they nailed it. And let me tell you, looking at their list of games, it went down from there.
Yeah.
They did not get better. Maybe Digital Pinball Necronomicon on the Sega Saturn in 1996. Arguable point.
They also made an SMT pinball game.
I saw that. I took that into account. Zombie Nation is fun. I don't know that it's great. It's kind of charming in that like low tier NES game kind of way.
Yeah.
Where like it functions just fine.
Right.
It sounds all right. It looks okay. But it's just weird. It's just fucking weird.
You know, I'm going to admit it. It's a garbage game, but it's the kind of garbage that is incredibly charming.
Yeah, I think it's funny coming from the Master System last episode, because I played a lot of garbage games for that episode. The garbage games were garbage ideas, but then also just bad, graphically bad, the control bad, they sounded bad. Zombie Nation is one of those games where it's definitely like bad. It's a stupid idea.
Yeah.
But it controls fine. It plays fine. It looks all right. It sounds so. It's that good. It's like finding a good bad movie. You know.
Yeah.
There's bad movies that are boring, and there's good bad movies that are exciting, even though they suck. I think Zombie Nation fits in that good bad movie category.
Yeah.
And not only because it sounds like the premise to a good bad movie. It always reminded me of that movie Shrunken Heads. You remember that movie?
Yeah, God.
I watched that movie, I don't know, 100 times.
I believe that that's a movie you would watch 100 times.
I was very into Shrunken Heads as a kid. I
believe that too.
I was extremely into that movie. I was like, fuck yes, Shrunken Heads. Those are all of the I believe only available on NES games that I found. The rest of these games are ports. Most of them are arcade ports.
Do we count King's Knight as a shmup?
I'm gonna say
we have to add that as the only on NES.
King's Knight was on my list and it got the axe because it just didn't seem shmuppy enough.
It feels like a shmup to me, but it's also weird enough that I don't know what it is.
There's another one on this list that feels kind of the same way. And we'll get to it. First up, 1942, 1943.
I played so much of those on NES.
1942 was developed by Micronix.
That explains it.
The port was. And then 1943 was developed and published by Capcom.
Yeah, 43 was a much better game.
And they're both okay. They're both okay ports. 43 definitely is the better of the two. And it's a pretty decent port. If you're looking for 1943, the game, not the year, then it's not a bad way to play it.
Oh yeah, I played a ton of it, and it is it's solid. It's a pretty solid port.
You have God. I love that they tried to like jazz this up to make it exciting, and then all they did was name and cover art.
Yeah,
Galaga: Demons of Death.
Yeah, that's all Bandai, because the Japanese release just calls it Galaga.
Yeah, because it was published by Bandai North America. And you look at it, and they've got this like crazy like Galaga monster cover art. It looks real like wicked, and then it says Demons of Death on it, and then you play it, and you're like,
it's just regular old Galaga.
Literally just regular fucking Galaga. When did the Demons of Death show up? Is this going to happen at some point? Because
you just have to have them keep taking your ship. Over and over again. Then the Demons of Death show up.
It's just Galaga. It's not a bad version of Galaga. If you like Galaga, then totally serviceable Galaga right there. You have Gradius. This was put up by Konami 1986 on the NES, and I think
it's a bad port of Gradius.
Famously, possibly one of the worst versions of Gradius.
Yeah, I know plenty of people who still say that it's good and that they enjoyed it, and they're allowed to be wrong.
I'll say this: taken on its own. In a vacuum, not as a port, not compared to any other version of Gradius or Life Force. It's not terrible. It's just not amazing. Now, compared to literally any other version of Gradius or Salamander, bad.
Yeah,
you know.
If you had not played any other version of Gradius, I can understand why you'd enjoy it. But if you have, I don't know why you're going back to the NES version.
I do hate that this is kind of the shmup du jour on the NES. Whenever people talk about NES shmups, they're like, well, there's Gradius on it.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, because there's also the next game, Legendary Wings.
Which is excellent.
Which is a fantastic fucking game. Simultaneous 2-player, by the way.
Yep.
It is a great port. It probably suffers.
Looks great.
It probably suffers a little bit compared to the arcade version, but not that I really notice.
Yeah, not enough to hurt the gameplay.
Also, Legendary Wings is fucking weird. This was Capcom at their weirdest.
I remember being really weirded out and kind of creeped out by some of the graphics in the game.
Oh, they're very creepy. So, Legendary Wings, you play 2 winged, like, kind of Greek dudes.
Yeah.
Dudes. These couple dudes.
They're like Contra dudes, but with wings.
And everything's just very strange. It's a hard game to describe. It's a very fun shmup, and it switches to side-scrolling segments occasionally, which are also very fun. Very cool sprite work, very cool soundtrack. When you go to the side-scrolling sections, the sprites are real big, and that's very fun and exciting. The top-down section is a little smaller, but just a very good shmup. Yeah. And I don't, was it ported to anything other than the NES?
Well, there was always the arcade ports. From collections, but
other than the arcade version, I think.
I think there was probably a microcomputer version for like Commodore or something.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know definitively.
Let's see. No, arcade in North America only. So there you go. And there's a tagline: "Take wings, legendary soldiers." And apparently, the red one is a woman. Would have never noticed that. Would have never noticed that either. Yeah. You got your Life Force, which is good. It's Konami.
On the cover of the U.S. box art, it's a guy in red.
Well, on the arcade game flyer shows a lady.
The arcade shows a woman, but the NES version shows a dude.
Legendary Wings is so good. What a weird game.
Yeah.
Life Force is an okay port. It's not great. It's not stellar.
It's nowhere near as good as any other port of the game, really.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on our Salamander episode where arcade Salamander is so fucking good. I mean, like top tier, near perfect shmup experience. And then Life Force on NES is not that. It's just okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's all right.
It's an okay Gradius game with some Life Force skins. It's a much better port than Gradius is.
True. Much better than Gradius. But still, just kind of that same arena of like, if you can play any other version of the game, do it. Proteus DA. Which
also, if you can play it elsewhere, I'd do that too.
Yeah.
Which really, that one didn't come out in North America. That was Europe and Japan only.
Yeah, that one was. I put it on there just because we can't not talk about Proteus. But what the fuck? Konami just fucked up shmups, I think is what it is. They just didn't do a good job.
I would say that Konami didn't figure out the NES hardware, but we know that's not true. Because Castlevania exists.
Yeah.
And Metal Gear, well, no, they didn't do Metal Gear particularly well on the NES.
Yeah.
But Castlevania still exists. And Contra, they did that all right.
I don't... Yeah, how does the guys that made Contra, how can they not make a good shmup when they're porting it from a game that is already good?
Yeah.
Let's talk Section Z. I like this one. I picked this one up randomly at a movie trading company one day because it said Capcom and it had the letter Z on it. Which those are both cool. I like those.
Yeah.
It kind of surprised me. It's sort of like an exploration-based shmup. You enter different corridors and kind of traverse a map.
Yep.
Because of the like map exploration being part of the gameplay, it is a little more kind of ponderous and meandering than like you know, in air quotes, proper shmup.
Right.
And that's why this was the one that kind of almost didn't make my list, because it just it feels not shmuppy.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because there's a lot of
I was a little surprised to see it on the list.
There was just a lot of just wandering around.
Yep.
But it's definitely more like Guardian Legend than Donpachi. So maybe if you like the idea of a shmup and you're playing on NES, but maybe you want something that's with a little bit of exploration, but you don't quite want to go full Zelda-esque with Guardian Legend, I think it's worth checking out. I don't know how it compares to the other versions of the game because I only played the NES version of the game. We have Sky Shark, which is pretty good.
I played so much Sky Shark as a kid. That was one of those NES games that we had fairly early, and we played a shit ton of it.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. It was a good. It feels a lot like 1943 to me.
Yes.
Very, very similar. There's a whole subset of shmups that are just like, what if you have planes instead of spaceships?
Right, yeah. They were basically just plane simulator games, but in the most simplistic form possible.
Yeah, and so I don't know if they're ever differentiated between proper, like, because shmups are space to me, or inside of a creature. Those are the two things.
Only for you is inside of a creature one of the main options for shmup.
Star Soldier was on NES.
Yes.
And it's a pretty damn good version of Star Soldier. I like this one. My mom liked this one. I remember when I sold my Wii, she was all upset because she couldn't play Star Soldier anymore. And I was like, I've never seen you play a game in your life except for Mario 3 20 years ago.
That said, I still prefer Star Soldier on other platforms, too.
Yeah.
Give me Super Star Soldier, and I'll go that way.
It's definitely not the best version of Star Soldier, but it's not a bad version of Star Soldier.
No, not at all. It's fine.
As far as like comparisons to its source material, I would say it's a better port of Star Soldier than Life Force is of Salamander.
Right. And
to kind of put
I
it on the
can't remember
scale.
if the NES or MSX version of Star Soldier came first, so it may even be the original version of it.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that, just timeline-wise.
Right.
You got your Twin Cobras, which is
that one I don't remember if I ever played.
It's a helicopter. It's a total plan shmup. Band Micronics developed the NES.
Oh, yeah, I have played this. Okay.
Yeah. But it's one of your total plan shmups.
Right.
They do a whole bunch of them.
Right.
And it's okay. It's also in that sort of like regular
the more down to earth kind.
Yeah, like more military-esque. It is the sequel to Tiger Heli.
Yeah.
Which was I feel relatively well known. People know Tiger Heli, right?
Yeah.
Is that a thing people know?
Yeah. It's an old Taito game.
Then you have Xevious, which was Namco, published by Bandai. It's Xevious.
Yeah, it's primitive, but it's what you expect when you go in looking for Xevious.
Probably the most accurate arcade port on the list, just because you don't need much to do it.
Nope.
And the NES could do it. So if you like Xevious, it's a good version of Xevious.
I do like these old Namco ports that Bandai did on NES, just because for years, Namco, whenever they would re-release these games, would just try to like slightly censor the box art to hide all the Bandai logos whenever they would re-release them. And now that the two companies have merged, they've just given up on that. They're like, fuck it, just leave the Bandai logo there. That always amuses me.
I want to talk about shmup hardware for the NES.
Okay.
Because the standard NES controller is not spectacular for shmups.
True. But the NES advantages out there.
Yes. Well, let's talk about this.
Okay.
So the standard NES controller, not great for shmups. Shmups are very much, in general, a high-tension game where you have a tendency to probably grip the controller pretty tight, and it's a little non-ergonomic. The D-pad is very textured, so if you're a thumb slider like me, it'll irritate your thumb. I'm just going to pretend like it's a normal thing, and I'm going to talk about it like it's a normal thing, and I'm going to normalize it.
Totally a normal thing that normal people do.
You have the NES Advantage, and I will say the joystick on the Advantage sucks.
True.
But
it was the best that we had back then.
It's somehow too mushy and too tight. I don't know how it accomplishes both, but everyone I've owned is. But the button options are spectacular. It has a turbo with a control knob to determine exact speed, which is really important because some games, when you're turbo firing, you have to do it at a certain speed or it doesn't register. And the slow mode basically just quickly pauses and unpauses the game, which is great for
so irritating in most games.
Tricky shmups.
My problem is any game that has a pause sound effect.
Yeah, you really got
the slow mode awful.
I mean, presumably you wouldn't play through the whole game on slow mode. You'd be like, "Oh, I can't beat this boss. Let me flip on slow mode and listen to
yeah
for 10 minutes. Just mute the TV."
No, I couldn't do it.
You have the Bishu Ultimate Super Stick. This is an ambidextrous design, which is very rare. Which means there's a stick in the middle and two buttons on the left side and the right side. It's got adjustable turbo, slow motion, 10-foot cord, and suction cup feet.
I never saw this back in the day.
I think it was Japan only, but it's pretty readily available on the aftermarket. Like I saw one for like $25 on like Lukey Games or something like yesterday.
Does it connect to a US system?
Yeah, it has that. I checked that like 5 times. I was like, why does this have a US plug? But it does.
I mean, the AV Famicom used US plugs.
I guess so. Yeah.
Well,
I forget about
it
the
did
AV
get a US
Famicom.
release.
Did it? Yeah, I know Bishu did some stuff here. I thought the Super Stick was Japan only, but
It's a US release.
It's fucking ugly, but it's got
it is.
most the same options as the NES Advantage, and I suspect the stick is probably nicer on it because Bishu put out decent hardware in back in the day. You have the NES Max,
which is the worst controller.
Before you say anything,
the worst controller.
it does lack a traditional D-pad.
Yeah,
So it does take some getting used to, but if it doesn't bother you, or if you like the slidey pad, like some of us like the slidey pad because I already slide my thumb on D-pads, so the slidey pad fits with how I play.
So then if the NES Max doesn't bother you, talk to your doctor because you may need some help.
I played through when I got my NES as a retro system in my teens, when I bought the second NES of my life. Well, really the first, because I wasn't alive when we bought the first one. It came with an NES Max, and I played all my NES games on that nearly exclusively for probably the better part of a decade.
That sucks.
Everything. I played through both Zeldas on it. I played through all the Marios on it, all the Castlevanias on it. I played everything on that thing. And it was great because my thumb never got sore from sliding it around against the sharp D-pad edges. Never happened.
Your weird mutant thumb patterns have made you the only audience for the NES Max.
If for whatever reason you like the Max, it is pretty ergonomic. It's got nice ergonomic handles and turbo fire, so it's functional.
I don't know if I'd use the word functional for the NES Max. It's close to functional.
You've got the Bandai Mega, which is a giant programmable controller with a traditional D-pad. It's got turbo, slow mode, a bunch of other stuff. Apparently, there's a playable puzzle game on the LCD screen. It looks really fucking stupid if you're into that.
That looks so dumb.
But it's got so many options that it'd probably be pretty good for shmups.
I never saw that one either. I don't know. I see that it was sold over here. I don't remember seeing that one.
Then you get into these two, the TurboTech controller and the Bishu Zipper. The TurboTech is just an NES controller with turbo fire with 3 stages like the TG16.
I thought you meant the Turbo Touch controller.
No, the Turbo Touch.
Yeah, this is much better.
Turbo Touch 360 is a piece of shit.
It's awful. It's so bad.
No, this is the same company, but they did the TurboTech controller. It's very much just a TG16 controller.
Yeah. And also Hudson released a controller that looks almost identical to this in Japan.
Yeah,
for the NES.
So Bishu Zipper is a kind of a slightly famous NES controller. It's standard NES layout. It's got the 3-stage turbo with the little clickies like on the turbo graphics. But it also comes in like fancy colors. You got a seafoam green one. I've seen blue, yellow. I've seen a purplish pink. The Zipper is I feel like it's semi well known. I feel like NES people are like, oh yeah, the Zipper, the fancy colored controllers.
Yeah, the goofy off-brand controller.
And then as far as other joysticks, almost all of them looked identical to the NES Advantage and got sued into oblivion for it because Nintendo was very litigious in the NES era.
What?
I know. Shocked.
They still are pretty litigious, to be honest.
I really think if you can handle the stick on the Advantage, then it's a great stick for shmups. Otherwise, I might go for a Zipper. Bishu Zipper is pretty readily available, pretty affordable, and it's got the 3-stage turbo, which is really kind of the big feature you're looking for on shmups. Because shmups of this era, especially NES ports for whatever reason, never fucking have turbo fire. You got to push the button as fast as you fucking can, and it hurts your thumb.
You know what controller my sister's boyfriend used to always use when he was playing Sky Shark?
What?
Was the U-Force.
No, he didn't.
He did. And not
that's the one that's the football goal that you wave your hands inside of?
Yeah, he didn't do the wavy bits because it also came with a stick that you could use that would attach to the center of it that was two-handled, and they had buttons at the top of each handle for A and B, and it did have turbo sliders.
Oh.
And so you would just move this whole ass stick around and he would just fire with that, and he got really good at Sky Shark with the U-Force, and I would always have to unplug that shit whenever I played it because I could not play it with the U-Force.
You're a regular human.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find a picture of the dumb U-Force stick, because it is, man. If you haven't seen first of all, if you haven't seen the U-Force, you need to look it up because it's the worst NES controller. But they did have the stick attachment that came with it. If you didn't want to play something that used the terrible non-functional motion controls.
There is a really good looking wireless controller for the NES that has all the turbo options and stuff, but it's that fucking infrared.
Right. Oh, yeah. I remember those.
Oh, my God.
Claim.
Infrared wireless controllers.
Let me tell you.
You want to talk about lag?
Yeah.
Fucking infrared.
Yeah. It was awful. I had a friend that had the Acclaim wireless controllers.
Yep.
They were just terrible.
As far as legacy, I feel like the NES does get kind of forgotten in the realm of shmups. There are such better shmup systems out there, and basically everyone has access to arcade hardware these days because we have computers.
Yeah, and emulation has reached the point where we can so easily emulate all the platforms that it's hard to justify going back to some of the NES shmup ports.
Yeah,
that are available elsewhere, just because they're often done better elsewhere.
I will say, some of the NES ports, Legendary Wings, 1943, I feel is a really good one. Section Z, I know it was on other platforms, but the NES one is good. You've got the NES shmups, your Guardian Legends, your Zombie Nations, your Rekkas, your Abadoxes. I think it's a system worth exploring. And I think it has, not a bottom tier shmup library, which sounds meaner than I mean for it to sound, but it's got some good stuff on it.
Yeah, it is better than people give it credit for. I still wouldn't rank it anywhere near my top as far as the platforms I will turn to for shmups.
Yeah.
But it does have more than people give it credit for, and it has a handful that I still enjoy going back to.
Yeah. So for final thoughts, play Abadox and Zombie Nation and Legendary Wings. We need to just
you don't have to play Zombie Nation, but you absolutely should.
You should play Zombie Nation. It's weird,
ridiculous.
It's the shiniest turd.
Yeah. If you want to play the most impressive shmup on NES, though, it's Rekka. That's the one you should look at. But if you want the weirdest one, it's definitely Zombie Nation.
Yes. And if you want the weirdest Patreon, we have one. Patreon.com/Retro Warriors. There's shows. You can go listen to them there. Just Talking Wizards is there. And I need to post a new episode of that. I just remembered that. So
yeah, you should do that.
You should go listen to that stuff on there and rate and review us on things. I know Apple Podcasts is a thing. People have Apple devices still, right? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure people still have Apple devices.
You heard about this? This Apple
that's my
thing?
Theory.
People are buying these things.
How's this Apple joke doing for you?
If you do want to help the show, rating us on Apple Podcasts is probably the best way outside of just giving us money, which you can also do. I mean, it's up to you.
You decide.
I don't know. You decide. And we want to thank
bank.
We want to thank the following people that do give us money, starting with Retro Warriors gave me chlamydia, and while you ponder how that happened, head over to patreon.com/retronauts and become. And then it cuts off. I like to imagine they stopped it there on purpose, though. And become. Just esoteric, Now
I just want to think about what that sentence could end with, like become ordained ministers. Anyway, also Sean Schaller.
Come on, man. Proudly brought to you by Justin Cum Farts Baker and Chris Shitty Dick Saturn.
We have nicknames now, Justin.
Oh, boy.
And Video Rangers Podcast.
William Owens.
Eric G.
Leo Lobato.
Steve Duke.
George McBain.
And Sharp Cheddar.
Are mostly all the patrons we want to thank this week for their very kind donations.
And their very kind words about us, right?
Their very kind words about us that make us feel so warm and fuzzy.
It was funny, right before this episode, you were talking about how you got this PM that was just this very kind message from someone. Then we get to the end of the episode, and our loyal, kind patrons call us cum farts and shitty dicks.
Go listen to this other fucking show not run by these shitty dicks.
We love these guys. We really do. It's great.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. And as always, let us cling together.